You are Locked On Braves POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, your team every day.
Hello and welcome into the Braves POSTCAST, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Grant McAuley, Jake Mastroianni with you after what I would call an absolute masterclass by Max Fried in shutting out the Marlins by a 5-0 score. Easily his best start of the year, but that bar wasn't set very high. But when you think about how good Max Fried can look, I think this was a reminder of just what he's capable of and just how important he is to this Braves rotation. We're going to talk all about that, the offensive heroics on this night, and of course get you set up for Game 3 of the series where the Braves have a chance for, dare I say, yet another sweep. Before we get into all that, make sure you hit that thumbs up and subscribe to Locked On Sports Atlanta here on YouTube. Subscribe to Locked On Braves wherever you get your podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go, the smash hit mobile game that lets you compete with your friends to get the most riches and build the biggest empire. Download Monopoly Go now free in the App Store or Google Play. Jake, I would go as far as to say that Max Fried had a bit of a monopoly going in this particular game, and that monopoly was over the runs that were not being scored on the other side. The Braves, they did everything they needed to do. The Marlins, they could not solve Max Fried.
They couldn't. And look, there's one way to cut your ERA in half and get it down to normal levels after getting blown up at the end of the year. And the best way to do that, Grant, throw a 9-inning shutout. That'll certainly help.
Yeah, it definitely will. This is the third such game in Max Fried's career. He's got 4 overall shutouts, one of them a rain-shortened affair, but 3 9-inning shutouts, and this is his first one since 2021 when he tossed a couple of those. And again, a reminder of exactly how good this guy can be. It was Maximum Fried, as I like to say. You may have noticed that on social media, and if you haven't, you go ahead and follow me at Grant McAuley. I've got that and so many more things for you there. But on this night, what a performance. 17 groundouts, Jake. That was a huge part of his success across his 9 innings of scoreless ball. Just 3 hits, no walks for him, and 8 strikeouts. Didn't even break 100 pitches, only 92 of those. This was easily one of the better Max Fried performances I can remember.
It was. And the first thing that I look at coming off the start in Houston, where I believe he threw more balls than strikes. If not, I know it was very close. But you look at this one, 92 pitches, 69 of them strikes. And you take out just strikes on foul balls and pitches that were chased, 46 pitches in the zone, 46 pitches out of the zone. I mean, it's just night and day for what we saw in the last outing from Max Fried and what we've seen from a lot of his outings this year, where it's just really been a struggle with command. It's been a struggle for him to get the ball in the strike zone a lot this season. Didn't see that in this start. He was filling it up. Marlins, as we saw against Bryce Elder the night before, being really aggressive as well, helping with that pitch count, allowing him to go deep into the game.
Yeah, and we have to understand, and I do think it's worth noting, that Houston lineup he was facing and struggling against has a few more teeth than does this Marlins lineup, and I'll just kind of leave that there. But these are still major league hitters, and for Max Fried, I think as much as anything, Jake, and this is what I believe you're alluding to, is he really needed a start where he felt like he was commanding the strike zone. This was that start.
It was, and all of his pitches, when we haven't seen that all year from Max Fried. You look at it, all of his pitches, he threw 14 times or more. And he himself had talked about the last couple of starts, just getting back to the fastball curveball combination. Curveball was what he threw the least tonight. If you don't count one sweeper that was recorded by Baseball Savant, his curveball was the least used pitch that he used on this night. He really got it going with the changeup that he threw 21 times, the fastball command that has really been eluding him a lot this year, and everything works off that fastball was really, really good. He got 4 whiffs on that 4-seamer, 4 whiffs on the changeup, 14 swinging strikes in total, a CSW percentage called strike plus whip percentage of 35%. Anything over 30 is really good. So again, it's what we know Max Fried can be. And we've talked about it. When he's on, what makes him so elite is the fact that he has 5 different pitches that he can locate and command. And when you do that and you have the speed differentials on these pitches, you're talking about a 70-mile-per-hour curveball all the way up to a 94, 95, 96 even at times, like he hit tonight, 4-seam fastball. It's just so hard for hitters to cover all of those different speeds. And it's why you see so much weak contact, 80.6 mile-per-hour average exit velocity against him tonight. Only 4 hard hit balls the entire game. This was the version of Max Fried that we're accustomed to seeing. Hopefully, I would love for him to play the Marlins a lot more. They seem to be helping him get on track, but hopefully this is the one that officially kind of turns the corner for him in this season.
Now, I mean, they will see him a couple of more times, perhaps. But yes, these two outings this year for Max Fried against the Marlins have been among his best. And I just throwing it out there. I know he had the start against the Astros in between the two, but to face a team two times within what a 10-day period, that can be a little bit tricky as well, just because that opponent is going to be at least a little more familiar with you in recent memory, not thinking about, okay, historically, how difficult is it to game plan for Max Fried? For most clubs, it can be pretty tough. He is a very good pitcher, and he reminded everyone of that tonight. So I can't stress enough how much Fried just needed this kind of an outing to get his season on track. That ERA you talked about, Jake, it didn't go down by half, but it was close. 7.71 coming into the day, now under 5 at 4.97 after the complete game shutout. Again, his first complete game shutout since 2021 when he tossed a pair of them. Just a tremendously encouraging outing on so many levels. Not that we need to overreact to his slow start, but you wanted to see him start to solve this sooner than later. And I know Max Fried, especially hearing his comments after the start against Houston, where he was given a lead, couldn't hold on to it, had the trouble with the walks. He really wanted to just kind of maybe feel like his old self again. And I would say this was a night where he had to be feeling very good.
You certainly hope so. It certainly looked like his old self. And look, Max Fried is one of the fiercest competitors out there. You don't think so? Go back to that game 6 of the World Series in 2021, and you will absolutely see that. He wants to go out there. He wants to get it done. He wants to win for this team. I know he's in a contract year. I don't think that's in his mind at all. I think he wants to go out there, prove that he's healthy, prove to himself and everybody else that he is still one of the best pitchers in baseball. Didn't get off to the best start. But again, you can see what he's capable of doing when he's on, and it's not somebody that's going to blow it by you. You heard him in the post-game interview on the field after the game. He said he was trying to get as many ground balls as possible, and that's kind of what you alluded to at the beginning, just all the ground balls he was getting, all that weak contact that I talked about, 80.6 mile per hour average exit velocity against. Again, that is just elite. When you're not able, or when hitters aren't able to square up the baseball consistently against you, it's going to lead to a lot of weak contact like that. And look, I've said it before, sometimes that can lead to some bad batted ball luck. When you're giving up that weak contact, sometimes Fried's going to have games where he's going to give up 6-7 hits where things are just going to not go his way and they're going to sneak through the infield. But more often than not, you're getting that weak contact. You're going to get easy outs on the field. And that's what he was able to do this night. And that's what, when he's on, and what I think we'll see more going forward with Max Fried, that's just what he's able to do. He's able to mix and match speeds, keep hitters off balance, get that weak contact, and pitch deep in the games. I mean, I'm not expecting 9-inning shutouts every time out, but he is somebody, just because of the way that he works. When he's on, he can give you 7 innings just about every time out.
Now, that bad batted ball luck that you talked about, I mean, that was apparent in his first couple of outings of the year in Philadelphia. He wasn't necessarily getting hit hard. Of course, he was having trouble, commanding the strike zone, and he wasn't getting a lot of help in that one. Then even when he got ambushed by the Arizona Diamondbacks in his first start at Truist Park and gave up 6 runs in the first, he had some more bad batted ball luck. And there were some hard hit balls in there as well. But on this night, 17 ground outs of the 27 outs he recorded, 8 by strikeout. So by some very simple math, the Marlins weren't putting the ball in the air very much, only a couple of pop-outs. So just a really, really encouraging performance on Max Fried, doing all the things he needed to do, from commanding the strike zone to generating that weak contact, getting the ball on the ground, and letting the Braves defense do its work for him, and they certainly took care of that. Atlanta's offense did more than enough with the way that Fried was pitching. Really, it's kind of the old Tom Glavine saying, and I know he was in the booth again tonight, get me 1 run. I mean, I don't know that you have to say that in an April start. It's probably not as high as stakes. Probably don't need to draw too many comparisons to World Series outings for Fried or for another left-hander that was on hand at Truist Park. But the Braves offense was able to get him the run support, and that just allows you to settle in. You have a little bit of a margin for error, and the Braves got him 2 early runs thanks to an error that gave them 2 unearned tallies in that second inning. Then they added on a little bit of breathing room in the 6th, and Max Fried's pitch count, just inning after inning, you started seeing how low it was and started thinking it's a very good chance that he can go pretty deep into this ball game. Maybe he'll get to finish it off. And again, you don't see that too terribly often these days. It's just not baseball in 2024, and it hasn't been that way for a while. But fun to see Fried kind of buck that trend and get the opportunity to finish what he started. We'll talk a little bit more about the Braves offense. We'll talk a lot more about Max Fried, I'm sure, as we go along. And we'll talk about the bottom of the order, which once again came through big time in the Braves' run-scoring attack in this win over the Marlins. 5-0 was the final score. All of that is coming your way as the Braves postcast continues. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch, and with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their low-price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Game Time has those last-minute deals, and you can save 60% off by buying those last-minute tickets not only for sports, but concerts, comedy, theater, and much more. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Just create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million worth of coverage. Some options offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams. And Policy Genius helps you compare your options from top companies, and their team of licensed experts is on hand to help you through this entire process. Easy to compare quotes from America's top insurers in just a few clicks to find your lowest price. And Policy Genius gives you that unbiased advice from a licensed expert support team. Thousands of 5-star reviews. You can read them on Google and Trustpilot from customers who found the best fit for their needs. Check life insurance off your to-do list in no time with Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com/lockedon or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/lockedon. A great night for Max Fried and the Braves in a 5-0 victory over the Miami Marlins. It gives them a series win and a chance for a sweep on Wednesday. We'll get to that a little bit later. The Tuesday night tally, though, for the Marlins, no runs, 3 hits, 1 error. They left 2 men on base. The Braves, with 5 runs on 10 hits, 1 error, they left 9 men aboard. Max Fried is the winner, now 2-0 on the season. The ERA all the way down to 4.97 after his 9-inning shutout effort. And Trevor Rogers takes the loss, drops to 0-3 for Miami. I want to get back into Max Fried's outing and all the things that it means for both him and for the Braves rotation at large, with the questions that they're clearly facing with Spencer Strider not being available to them for the rest of the year. I talked about this quite a bit on my show From the Diamond. I also wrote about this in the Marietta Daily Journal. One way to try to counteract the loss of an ace pitcher is to have your other ace pitcher step up and do the kinds of things Max Fried did tonight. This is a big sign for the Braves and for Fried.
When we talk about the fact that you can lose a Spencer Strider and this team can still win a World Series, a lot of that is predicated on the fact that Max Fried needs to be that ace that we know that he can be. And he was tonight, and hopefully he's going to be going forward, but it is certainly a big part of the plans for the Braves this year with the goals that they have to win a World Series. You come into the season, you have 2 aces in Spencer Strider and Max Fried. You lose one, and you really need Max Fried to be that guy at the top of your rotation. So this was certainly encouraging for him and certainly encouraging for Braves fans. I think that maybe we're a little bit worried. Again, I feel like we still need to see more from Max Fried, even though he has the track record that he has. I'm certainly willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. And this is a great step in the right direction. And we know what he's capable of doing. And he's shown that tonight. But you're right. It is important. And that he is that ace. He is that top of the rotation arm. Love what I've seen from Chris Sale. Love what I've seen from Reynaldo Lopez. But certainly if the Braves are going to go far this season, they're going to need Max Fried to be that guy at the top of the rotation.
Yeah, and at least this could signal the start of the turnaround that Max Fried wanted to get to sooner than later, because the frustrations, the first couple of starts, then you feel like, okay, maybe a good one against the Marlins will get him going, then kind of a step back against the Houston Astros. When we talked about that one, I know you said that might have been his most discouraging start of the year because he just wasn't able to ever dial it in and command the strike zone, and that had been eluding him over the first few starts of the year. That was not a problem on Tuesday night. Again, that line for Fried in this game, the 9-inning shutout, 3 hits, no walks, 6 strikeouts. He threw 92 pitches in this game, 69 of those for strikes. Just a tremendous job by Max Fried to pick up that complete game shutout. I know, again, we're going to hear some people say it's just the Marlins, but I felt like Fried was next level effective, and as bad as you may have felt like he was pitching in some of his other starts, Jake, on the flip side of this is about as good as one can pitch regardless of what team you're facing.
Yeah, I mean, 9-inning shutout, 3 hits. I don't care who you're pitching against. That is impressive, and that is not easy to do. We don't see a lot of complete game shutouts in today's game. I believe the last one was Bryce Elder, who did it at the end of 2022. So it just doesn't happen very often. Again, I don't care what lineup you're facing. The fact you're able to do that with all the contact, as you said, just 6 strikeouts. He was giving up a lot of contact, but it's just so weak because of the way that he's able to mix up his pitches. That to me is maybe even more impressive. The fact that you had so many balls in play, but no walks obviously is very key in that and getting that weak contact. So that's what Max Fried does when he's at his best. And that's why it is more encouraging to me, because the way that he got it done is the way that Max Fried generally gets it done, creating a lot of weak contact.
Yeah, let me go back and correct that math as well. 6 strikeouts for Fried on this day, 17 groundouts. I was correct on that. The Marlins, though, again, still only put the ball in the air, making outs anyway, 4 times, and only had the 3 hits. So he was really utilizing that defense, getting the swing and miss when he needed to. And it was an extremely, extremely good performance for him, regardless of whether he struck out 6 or struck out 8. You toss a 9-inning complete game shutout in today's Major League Baseball, you have most definitely accomplished something. The Braves offense, meanwhile, it was the bottom of the order that did a lot of work in this one, Jake. And not surprising to see this at this point, because we've seen these guys be involved. I mean, Travis d'Arnaud's having quite the homestand to remember. 2 more hits in this one, a run knocked in. Adam Duvall with a 2-run homer among his 2 hits. Michael Harris had a couple of hits and drove in a run. David Fletcher drove in a run. And even had Marcell Ozuna, who would not be considered the bottom of the order, but looking at 5 through 9 in this game, that was where you found all of the Braves' runs as far as knocking them all in those bottom 4 spots. Ozuna, meanwhile, 1 for 3 with a walk and scored a couple of runs. So he continues to find himself in the middle of everything the Braves offense is doing on a given night. With the middle of the order, and we'll get to this more in just a moment, having some struggles individually, great to see guys like d'Arnaud, Duvall, Michael Harris looks like he's starting to heat up, and anybody else that wants to chip in to get the job done, because you have a feeling that the Acuñas, the Rileys, the Olsons, those guys, they're going to get theirs as the season wears on.
You know it's going to happen. I talked about it on my podcast on Tuesday, the fact that you look at the batted ball profile for Acuña, Riley, and Olson specifically, it's all pretty much the same as last year. You know they're going to get going. Even on this night, RC, I know he's not generally top of the order. He had 3 hard hit balls, including a 107-mile-per-hour line out. Matt Olson had several hard hit balls as well, just off, a couple of ground balls, a couple of flyouts, but no strikeouts, which is key for him right now. He's been striking out way too much. Riley had 2 hard hit balls, got a hit in there. So those guys are coming. You know that's going to be the case. But again, we talk about it almost every night. It's just the depth of this lineup that when those guys are struggling a little bit, are a little off, that you can get 2 hits from your number 6 hitter in Travis d'Arnaud. Adam Duvall, who, he finally get in the mix, got a home run tonight. Michael Harris has the quietest .315 batting average in all of baseball right now with what he is doing. And then David Fletcher at the bottom of the lineup once again, a couple of nights in a row, chipping in with a hit and an RBI. So it's just, again, it's the riches, or the spoils of the riches that the Braves have in their lineup right now, just top to bottom, to be able to step up when 3 of the top 4 hitters, or three of the top hitters in all of baseball, just kind of a little off their game right now at the moment.
Yeah, and with Ronald Acuña Jr., I mean, his game is a .291 batting average, leading the team in on-base percentage and leading the league in stolen bases, and, oh, by the way, scoring a whole bunch of runs. I mean, he's still doing things that you expect Ronald Acuña Jr. to do. I'll just be surprised if he continues to sit on that 1 home run for too much longer. You mentioned Austin Riley, a couple of hard-hit balls in this game, a 1 for 3 night at the plate. Matt Olson, though, it's been tough sledding for him for a minute, really since the start of that Houston series, with another 0 for 4 in this game. Matt Olson is now 0 for his last 25. He has drawn some walks throughout the course of this stretch, so he has found his way on base. It's just been a rough patch for him, and I know when you get into the early portion of the season, when you struggle, not so much out of the gate for him. I guess he was pretty good there for about 10 days, but when you do struggle and you don't have big numbers, 200, 300, 400 at bats to be able to kind of even it all out, you're going to notice a lot more. And for Matt Olson, hits have been hard to come by for about a week now.
Yeah, that 212 batting average on the scoreboard is going to look really tough starting on Wednesday night. But again, for me, it's been more of the strikeouts. And this is what we saw from him last April, too. He struck out 41 times last April and then really kind of corrected that. As I said, he's still hitting the ball extremely hard. He's just a little bit off of it, a tick here or there, and I think things are a lot different. He's had some terrible batted ball luck. I know going into Monday, the last 6 games, his batting average on balls in play was .091. Now, part of that is because he had a 37% strikeout rate, so there's a lot of strikeouts mixed in there, but he's just also not very lucky on balls in play at the moment. Now, over 25, that's not all luck. It's certainly a struggle for him at the moment to really square up baseballs like he's used to. But again, still affecting it, still hard hit percentages up there. All the metrics that you're used to from Matt Olson, it's going to come eventually. And it's very similar, like I said, to last year. I thought he got off to a little good start in a couple of first week or so last year and then really struggled, especially with the strikeouts. And then we know what he did the rest of the season. So for him, Riley, it's just a matter of time. It's just unfortunate both of those guys kind of going through it at the same time.
Yeah, over the course of 162, these things for these kind of guys, like they have a way of kind of correcting themselves. I know Brian Snitker never seems to be overly concerned about it. He always says, look, I know if you look at the numbers on the back of that guy's baseball card, he's going to get there. They're going to look the way they're supposed to, but you can't necessarily, predict when there's going to be a dry spell, a long slump, a rough patch, whatever you want to call it. Matt Olson definitely in the teeth of one of those right now is going to try to hit his way out of it, and perhaps that'll start on Wednesday as the Braves will be looking for a sweep of the Miami Marlins. We've got much more to talk about here on the Braves Postcast. We'll get you set up for that finale, and we will also give you another encouraging update on Ozzie Albies, who could be back sooner than later. That is coming your way as the Braves Postcast continues. The smash hit mobile game Monopoly Go lets you compete with your friends to get the most riches and the biggest empire. It's a Monopoly you love, but on your phone anytime with tons of twists, including leaderboards to compare your progress with your buddies and so much else to do. Play on countless dynamic Monopoly boards, make your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball, charge other players rent for your iconic properties. You can even work with your friends if you so choose. Crack open those community chests and compete in tournaments to earn extra rewards and climb on the leaderboard. Download Monopoly Go now free in the App Store and on Google Play. Braves and Marlins will wrap up this 3-game series at Truist Park on Wednesday night. It will be Reynaldo Lopez on the mound as the Braves are looking to sweep away Miami. The Braves have had themselves a good homestand thus far, Jake, by winning 2 out of 3 against the Rangers. They've done exactly what I feel like they needed to do against the Marlins, which is at least win the series, maybe a chance for a sweep. Then they got a really tough team in the Cleveland Guardians, one of the surprise clubs in Major League Baseball. Is going to be in next weekend, but handling business right here against a team that you're supposed to beat, a series you're supposed to win, I think you can check that box for the Braves here.
Yeah, a little bit of that TCB we talked about a lot last year, taking care of business. That's what you need to do against a team like the Marlins, who I know were a postseason team last year, but it's just not the same vibe and feeling for this squad coming in to this season. They're certainly struggling. Obviously, a lot of injuries in the rotation hurting a little bit, and they didn't really make any improvements to that offense that is still one of the worst in baseball. So these are games that you need to win. Division wins as well certainly help in the long run, but to be able to have an opportunity to get sweeps as they did against the Rangers, had a chance to do that. Now you got another opportunity to do that. We'll love to see him finish it off here. You got Lopez on the mound who's been the best starter for the Braves to this point. So, I mean, it's a good chance here. We don't know, obviously, who's pitching for the Marlins, but another great opportunity here for the Braves to get a sweep.
It is. And before Max Fried's performance on Tuesday night at Truist Park with the 9-inning complete game shutout, you really did have to look at Reynaldo Lopez, who has gone to the mound 3 times in a Braves uniform, 6 innings of shutout balls, 6 innings of 1-run ball, 6 more innings of shutout balls, so 1 run in 18 innings thus far. That's how you get an 0.50 ERA. Will he be able to hold on to that throughout the course of the season? Well, probably not. But if you were looking to make a good impression in going back to the starting rotation, which is what Reynaldo Lopez is doing for the first time in nearly 3 years, I would say he has accomplished that here in the month of April with the Braves. I've really liked the way that he has been throwing. He's been in the strike zone. He has been able to, I think, carry the velocity enough, reach back for a little extra when he needs it. And now we'll just kind of see as the Braves try to manage the workload on him, with Bryce Elder coming up. They were able to push Lopez back a couple of days. I think, Jake, this is all part of the bigger strategy to make sure as he gets reacclimated to being a starting pitcher that they're giving him the proper amount of rest and time to recover between starts.
And we talked about it. I think they're going to look to do that whenever they can for all of these guys. Max Fried coming off an injury-filled season where he didn't throw a ton of innings. Chris Sale obviously hasn't thrown a lot. Lopez hasn't been a starter in a while. So they're going to take these opportunities when they can. And certainly with Lopez, who's coming from being a reliever, want to keep him as fresh as possible. And as you said, there's long-term goals for this Braves team. You certainly have to get through the regular season, but you want to make sure these guys are as fresh as they can be down the stretch and hopefully into the postseason where the Braves will have a nice long run. But for Lopez, as you said, the key for me has been maintaining the velocity throughout. If it's not going to be 97, 98, 99, like we saw from him in the bullpen, if it's going to be 94, 95, 96, that's fine. You can certainly get away with that, and you can certainly get hitters out as he has through his first 3 starts, as you mentioned. But can you even maintain that throughout the length of a start into the 4th, 5th, 6th innings? And he has done that so far. That slider's been wipeout. It's been a really good pitch for him. And again, just another good matchup here, hopefully, where he can take advantage of this Marlins lineup that's down right now at the moment and have another good performance. Again, I don't know how many times he can go out there this year and go 6 innings of 1 earned or less. Hopefully he does it all year long, but it feels like it's another chance for him to go out and show, what he's been able to do, put another good outing on the board and give this Braves team a chance for the sweep.
Yeah, he's absolutely looked great. And I think he's done everything he needed to do early on to show that, hey, I can still do this whole starting pitcher thing. And it's something that he, no pun intended, pitched to the Braves in signing. Was he wanted the opportunity to do this, and Atlanta was obviously open to doing it. The trickle-down effect of all of that, of course, was that Bryce Elder's season began in AAA Gwinnett, which I didn't necessarily expect when spring training began. But now Bryce Elder's back up with the club. Reynaldo Lopez is more than just your 5th starter. You're going to be leaning on him quite a bit, as we talked about pretty much each and every time he's gone out there, to give the Braves at least a little bit more and at least the kind of performances that put the club in position to win. It may not be 6 scoreless innings every time, but quality starts from this rotation. I may sound like a broken record here. Quality starts, by dictionary definition of 6 innings, 3 earned runs or less. The Braves are going to win a lot of baseball games with this offense.
And it's kind of crazy to think about it. Feels like the offense has been down a little bit the last couple of games. Three runs on Sunday night, 3 runs Monday, 5 runs tonight. I mean, for this offense, the expectation is 6 or more runs a night, and that's what we've seen a lot this year. So you feel like maybe they're kind of due for a little bit of a breakout on Wednesday. Hopefully that's the case, but you're right, and we talk about it all the time. For these pitchers, look, give me 6 innings of 3 earned. If you can give me that, and I know it's a 4.50 ERA, but you do that for this Braves team and this offense, you're going to win a lot of ball games. And Reynaldo Lopez has obviously done a lot better than that. The one thing I'd watch out for with what we've seen from this Marlins lineup, the first 2 games in this series at least, is some of that aggressiveness. Mm-hmm. You may have to start out some at-bats with that slider to get them off the fastball. Again, it is primarily just 2 pitches for Reynaldo Lopez. So if you got an aggressive team coming out, just hunting that fastball early might give them an opportunity to get on some baseballs. So maybe have to start with that slider, work a little bit backwards in counts, and try to see if that Marlins team is going to stay as aggressive as they've been in the first 2 games of the series.
I have to ask you, have I gotten into my quality start discussion with you at any point on one of these shows?
I don't know that we have.
Okay, well, I'm going to throw it out there now because I don't know if there's a better time to do it than on a night where someone actually threw 9 innings. But okay, 6 innings, 3 earned runs or less, quality start. You just pointed out 4.50 ERA. You throw a 9-inning complete game, allow 4 runs, you don't get a quality start. But you threw a 9-inning complete game and have an ERA of 4. I don't know what that really accomplishes or means or what you do with that, but I've always thought about it. It's always bugged me, and I really just had to throw it out there and maybe have some group therapy here on the Braves postcast. But either way, the 9 innings from Max Fried that happened on Tuesday, another thing that does, give the bullpen an entire day off. So now everybody should be ready to go on Wednesday. Then they'll get another day off on Thursday. So this Max Fried complete game, Jake, is kind of the gift that keeps on giving.
It is, because like you said, didn't have to even on Monday. I mean, you used Pierce Johnson, AJ Minter, and Raisel Iglesias, but it was about as stress-free as a three-run lead can be, and didn't really have to throw a lot of pitches. Minter only threw 6 pitches. So you got everybody available, especially with the off day. And so again, if Lopez can just give you 6 quality innings, and whether it's a technical quality start or not, 6 innings, 3 earned, whatever it may be, and then you get it over to this bullpen and let that offense kind of go to work. It seems like a good recipe for this Braves win, or this Braves team to get a sweep on Wednesday.
It certainly does. One other update I mentioned a little bit earlier, Ozzie Albies once again heading on the field with the Braves prior to Tuesday's game. It's sounding more and more, Jake, like he could be back when he's first eligible on Friday. Nobody's confirmed that yet. Ozzie himself not quite sure, according to Justin Toscano of the AJC, as to whether or not he'll come off on Friday or just close to that. The Braves are certainly not going to rush it and push him back out there if he's still dealing with pain. But what it sounds like is that Ozzie has healed up rather quickly, and he can play through a little bit of pain as long as he's out of the woods when it comes to major injury.
Yeah, it would be great, obviously, as we talked about, and get him back in that 2 hole where, look, I think Garcia and Michael Harris can do fine there. But Ozzie just seems to excel in that 2 spot, and you get the switch hitter at the top of the order, some speed. He's typically going to put the ball in play. I know he doesn't walk a lot for a typical number 2 hitter, but certainly somebody that seems to relish in that role, batting between Acuna and Riley. Pretty great spot to be in. So we'd love to have him back out there. Maybe you can answer this. I don't know that I've seen it yet, but I would imagine one big hurdle for him to clear is to be able to run and plant on that toe that he broke. But I don't know that I've heard that he's done any on-field running yet.
Yeah, I think he's been on the field doing fielding. He's obviously been hitting, which is going to involve a little bit of moving of the feet, clearly. So if he wasn't comfortable with that, I don't think they would have continued doing it. But you're right. He's got to check that box and do some full speed running before they activate him from the injured list, which, again, could happen as soon as Friday. The other thing that Ozzie coming back does and going back in that 2 spot is you're able to put Michael Harris back in the middle of the order. Orlando Arcia moves back toward the bottom, and it just makes the Braves lineup that much deeper. When you got a second baseman that can hit 30 homers and drive in 100 runs, that's a pretty nice player to be able to plug back in, and the Braves will be happy to do that as soon as they possibly can. It won't happen on Wednesday, though. That's when the Braves and Marlins meet for Game 3 of this series, the finale. Atlanta going for the sweep behind Reynaldo Lopez. The Marlins, as of this recording, had not named their starter for Wednesday's finale. That's going to wrap us up here on the Braves Postcast. As always, we appreciate you riding along with us. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Sports Atlanta right here on YouTube, and make sure you are subscribed to Locked On Braves wherever you get your podcast. Leave us those likes and comments. Share the show with a friend, and we will look forward to catching you after the finale of this series. For Jake Mastroianni, I'm Grant McAuley. Until next time, so long, everyone.